seekers of truth. When today, in these modern times, you look around, anywhere in any country, you feel that the human beings are really confused. They are in a very confused state. Whether it is politics, economics, or social life, it seems nobody knows which is the right direction one has to follow. It was said that it was to happen in this Ghor Kali Yuga, that people are going to become Sabhrant. It has to happen. But today's problem, if you come to the essence of the problem, is that we are passing through a tremendous moral crisis within ourselves and without. Actually, the human beings, the way they make this world, they see the world, they create the world, they live in that world. The confusion has come from human beings and not from the divine. At this juncture, when the science thinks no end of itself, when ritualism has taken roots so deep, when people have become so fanatically attached to the so-called truths they believe in, it's a hard task to talk about the divine, that is the truth, and that is the reality. On one side, one has to face the scientists, the people who believe that there is no God. It's very nice to believe that there is no God. When you are darkness, it's nice to believe that there cannot be any light. The others are who are well versed or who are educated in religion, are lost in the words. As Sri Adi Shankaracharya has said, Shabda Jala. Those who are fanatics are lost in the fanaticism, the clutches of fanaticism which leads you to violence. So one starts wondering, if this is God, if this is divinity, if this is religion, why one has to face all these horrible manifestation of that divine which is supposed to be compassion, love, and above all, peace. At this time, one should understand that this country of ours, this Yoga Bhumi, is specially blessed because we have had a heritage of ancient times where people have talked that one has to get his self-realization. The complete motivating force in Indian life is how to get your self-realization. Of course, now we have become westernized. We despise our old sciences. We despise our culture. We despise what is written in our ancient books. But if you ever talk to any Indian who has some Indianness left in him, he will say that our country has a promise of yoga, of self-realization, of union with the divine. This is the promise of this country. That's why today you find so many people from the West come to this country to seek that union. Now, when we think about knowledge, I call it avidya, the knowledge of the tree. We know the knowledge of the tree. When we have to treat the tree, we cannot treat one leaf here and there. We have to go to the roots of it. In the West, or into the, we can say, the scientific approach towards the solving of human problems has been the knowledge of the tree, not of the roots. The knowledge of the roots is in this country. This is the greatness of our country, that we are the sustaining force of all the world. But in our ignorance, in our slavish nature, we are following the West blindfolded without knowing Where are they going? They are going in a ditch, absolute in a ditch of Narka. There's a tremendous moral crisis in the social life in the West. You cannot go in New York safe in the evening time. Anybody can snatch your purse, anybody can hit you. You can't wear any ornaments. You cannot wear even an expensive watch in that country. You go to England, the same thing. Russia, if you go, it's full of fear. People have so much fear that out of fear, when they get out, I see they are much more abandoned than any other Westerner. So either it is the fear or is the abandonment under which these countries are prospering. As a result of that, they have become so much conditioned that they do not know how to get out of those conditionings of the abandonment. They have no swatantrata, they have no freedom, because freedom can only come from your self-realization. What they have is abandonment, and that has come because they believe that individual is important. The individuality must improve. One must develop the individuality. But this is not the way to develop an individual. If you see the life metaphor, the best metaphor is a tree. How a tree grows, that first you get the roots, and then you get the shoot. And then when it grows, it develops its whole manifestation first into leaves, then into flowers, and ultimately into fruits. So the maturity that has to come then gives you the individual identity. Not before that. Unless and until you are mature, you cannot be an individual. That's like a madman running amok. That's what is happening in the West now, that you feel that these people are really crazy, mad, or something has gone definitely wrong with their brains, that they cannot locate their moodings where they are. Now, the individuality, so-called, of the West is nothing but is like a cancer, is malignancy. Because if you're on your own and has no relationship established with the whole, then you can really damage the whole world. Nation also can become like that. Today we are sitting tight here, thinking any day a switch can be put by America or Russia, and we all can be finished for nothing at all. This is what we have achieved through our great advancement towards science. That we are sitting in a complete fear of that demon we have created out of your scientific researches. I do not condemn science at all, but I say we have lost the purpose of science. The purpose of science is for the availability of the divine. Supposing I didn't have these microphone, I could not have talked. So it is, everything has to work for divinity. If it cannot work for divinity, it will be devastatingly dangerous. And it is a very destructive use we are putting them into. Scientists must realize that once they forget about God and separate themselves from God, they are separating themselves from the whole, as in a malignant cell. When it becomes seceded, separated from the whole, it becomes so much ego-oriented that it starts overpowering other cells and creates a malignant situation in the society. This is exactly what is happening today in the Western society. Now in the East, where we are, in this country of ours, the Yoga Bhumi, we have lost our heritage. We have lost faith in our own tradition. I mean, we must understand that what these people have achieved. How are they? You won't find many Westerners who even have a steady look. They can't keep their eyes steady. Their mouth is twitching, their nose is twitching, their eyes are twitching, they are looking this side, that side. They cannot have a steady look for any kind of an observation. Why is it that attention has become so much disturbed? Because there are so many things created to distract their attention. All the time it is attracted, their advertisement, their newspapers, all the stuff they are loaded with. The whole attention gets completely distracted and finished. Now, we are going towards them. We think they are affluent, they are very happy people, they are very well-to-do, and we should follow their path and jump in the same sea as they are. Now, you know about three countries which are the most affluent, is Sweden, Norway, and Switzerland. There's a competition going on among the young, because I moved there, I have lived there, I have talked to the young, and I know the essence of the whole problem is that they are so fed up with their affluence now, and they are so much disgusted that they have not been able to find even a trace of joy in the affluence that they had, that now they are all competing in committing suicide. If you ask an educated intellectual from any one of these countries, he will very seriously, in a very melancholy tone, he'll say that, by the way, which is the best way to commit suicide? In India, people ask me questions, Mother, how will I help my father? What about my job? How will I get my money? We are still progressing that side, you see. But in the West, people ask me a question, how to commit suicide? How to run away? Where to run away? Have you got a place in India where we can come and run away from this mad race? So now what should we do? If they have gone into the ditch, what should we do now? We should go back into our own heritage and find out what do we have there, what can we get out of it, and be natural and spontaneous about it. No use following their pattern. They have gone wrong. We know, thank God, we didn't do that fast. But now let us find out what are our problems and how we can cure them. Only one way is that you have to get your self-realization. There's no way out. This is what's said, that your attention should be controlled, nirodha, so that you get your realization. You should be dharmi, so that you get your realization. You should be in bhakti, so that you get your realization. You should do your yajna, because Vedas, Veda itself, Veda word means to know, to have the experience, prachipi. If you cannot get it, all this reading is just Shabdajala. It's just Shabdajala. So to go beyond it, what should we do? How are we to attain that subtler being within ourselves, which is the spirit, so that we enter into the roots? Now, luckily, I must say that it was not possible to achieve that. For many, many thousands years, people could not achieve it en masse. It could be done for 1 or 2 persons. Only few persons could get realization. But today the time has come. It is being indicated long time back in a book called Nadi Grantha, 14,000 years back. It has been stated that from 1970, such and such thing will start, and the people will get the awakening of their Kundalini and will get their realization, Sahaj. In the intellectuals today in our country, I have not met many who know the word even of Kundalini. This is our great intellect. By reading these Western books, where are we going to reach? Why not exploit the property that we have? Why not thrive on the heritage that we have, than to just intellectualize everything, analyze everything, and go mad like them? Now, what do we have in our heritage? It is said that within us lies, in this triangular bone, a power which is called as Kundalini, which is in 3.5 coin. It's an ancient science, I can tell you this. Of course, we have lost all our grip with everything. It has nothing to do with any Hindu religion, Christian religion, or any religion which is outside. It is the essence of all the religions, given by great drashtas and the great munis of those times. For a muni and a drashta, there is no religion. They have no religion. As they say in Hindi, the awliya ki koi jaat nahi hoti. They were the real people who could see the Kundalini, this power within you, which could rise, and when it rises, it penetrates through the 6 subtle centers which controls your plexuses as well as your nadis. That is your autonomous nervous system. Now, the trouble is that if there is something like that, if there is some science like that within us, if there is the science of the divine, as a scientist, why not open your mind to that? Instead of keeping a barrier to it, why not open to it and see for yourself that there is this power resident? I went to Greece once, and there I was surprised that the word atha in Sanskrit means the primordial. And Athens we went to, and there I went to see this goddess Athena. This Athena had a serpent in her hand, and the coils were 7 coils in her hand, showing absolutely clearly that she is representing the Adi Kundalini, the primordial mother. And when I went to see the Persepolis, which is the place where Athena resides, see this Kundalini, they said she's a virgin. And outside that temple of Athena, they said you can't go in because she's a virgin. Kundalini is a virgin, she's the Gauri. She has not yet met Shiva, so she's the Gauri. And that's how they said she is inside, you cannot go. I was amazed, I saw some cool vibrations coming outside the temple, and I looked at it, and it was there. Who? It was Sri Ganesh. Exactly, Sri Ganesh was sitting. And I asked the lady who was interpreting, I said, what do you see here? She said, it's a small baby elephant I can see, but this is the child god who protects the mother. I asked the curator of that place, how do you know these things? From where does this knowledge come to? They told us, your country is the one which gave us this knowledge. Thousands of years back, much before Alexander came in, they told us that there is one power, mother power, from her the 3 powers come in, and these 3 powers manifest. But what has happened to all that? Where are they? Where are they lost? I said, they have all become now anglicized, westernized. That's all I could answer. Because all the intellectuals of this country have taken to a kind of a Shabda Jalam, a kind of a funny attitude towards religion, just to impress others, write books on Kundalini, write books about, say, Dharma, read books, I have read this, I have read that. And that's why sometimes I feel when Kabira has said very clearly, Padi Padi Pandita Murakha Bhaye. First I didn't understand when I was a child, what does he mean by this? How can they become Murakhas? In the book it will be written, Ikahe re banakho janajai, sada nivasi, sada alepa, tohe sanga samai. But they will go on reading that. They'll go on repeating it, 1,001 times. They'll be saying it again and again. And then, kahe nanak bina apa chinhe mitena brahmaki kai. You have to know yourself, know thyself. Everybody has said that. What about that? They'll go on reading Bible, know thyself, know thyself. Everybody is reading it. But who is going to do the job of knowing yourself?